Welcome to Socialcast, your go-to place to learn about marketing, the latest social media news, and insights. Brought to you by Social Bakers.
We're going to dive into it. So starting with the report.
Cool.
Of course, the link is in the description. Download the report and you'll be able to follow it with us. And also for those listening on the podcast, we'll try to describe the data as accurately as possible. So the first... there's a couple of, we're not going to cover every single trend in the report. It's
we got to
long.
leave it up for some coffee reading, some holiday reading with a cup of cocoa.
Right, because what else do you do during Christmas? There's
agree.
So much time. There's a couple of trends that we're skipping, but we're jumping right into follower growth on Instagram. And there's been quite a bit of a discussion lately whether Instagram is still growing as a platform.
Yeah, this one was one of your most exciting charts that you saw first off. You were thinking no, yes, no. The debate's going on, but we have the data now to tell us.
Well, it's actually our audience that started it. So on our channels, we shared this data about Instagram growth some time ago, a couple of months ago. And you said that, well, no, it's kind of growing, but for maybe some certain size of pages, whatever. So we looked as far as we could. We looked at top 5,000 brands, and this is the aggregate of number of followers they are adding each month. Mm-hmm. So you can see that the growth is quite huge. So if you look at like July 2017, top 5,000 brands were adding something like 100,000 followers a month.
Yep.
And now in April, we're at 125K. That's a lot.
So it is growing.
So
and follower growth is not really, some might think follower growth isn't the metrics you should be concentrating on. It's a metric you should still sort of have and pay attention to across the industries, across social in general.
Yeah, so of course, Paul, you're right, totally right. But we just wanted to answer some of the questions that we received from you on our channels. But let me just quickly scan for any comments that we're receiving right now. So we have someone, Fatima from Lebanon, joining. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to shoot us a question. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. We got Jan joining. Thanks a lot. Jan says, biggest challenge was scaling our social media legal tech tool.
Cool.
Be curious to know more about it. But we're going to dive in further into the report. So the next thing that is a pretty it's been a trend really on Instagram over the past couple of years. We saw that on Facebook. You had many industries present. You had finance, you had e-commerce, retail, and Instagram was really mostly for fashion and beauty.
Yeah, fashion, because it's such a visual platform. They were obviously the first early adopters to really take advantage of such a beautiful visual space.
Yeah, and that has changed this quarter especially. Somehow the jump for the e-commerce vertical on Instagram boomed by 118%. That's kind of a lot.
Yeah, enough for us to put it in our report.
that is true, yeah. So are you guys surprised by this? This seems like a big number, but this is, I think, it overall highlights a different trend, right?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all, especially in terms of this, as we see social commerce, this Instagram is now open for seamless purchasing of products you see immediately. You don't have to see it, forget about it, or search for it, or try and find it. It's a seamless buying, it's a personalized buying experience now.
Yeah.
Especially, we often complain about getting in your car, driving to the store, buying something there.
Forget it, I'm not doing that.
Exactly. And even getting up from the couch, getting your credit card, you might as well just forget it. You don't need that. But now with this seamless buying experience all through social media, it's just click and you have it, and it's instant, and it's makes the buying experience so much more, I think, pleasant and fun and efficient.
And I imagine it is going to keep going that direction, and probably both Instagram and Facebook really want this to happen as quickly as possible, because that is a seamless user experience.
Yeah, and I think the younger generations are definitely adopting to this as well, because when you're shopping on Instagram, you get to see how these products are really working in harmony as well. So it's not just one store and one offering. You get to see all the stores, maybe the shirt is from somewhere, the skirt is from somewhere, the bag is from somewhere, and it's all curated in one space. So you can really build a sort of a style from that, not
Yeah.
just a store to store to store. So it really does mix these e-commerce brands even together.
I think what I liked that you said, I think maybe yesterday, that you can really see how these clothes look on influencers as well when they're advertising, and so it's like a lot of validation happening all at one place. You don't need to go into a changing room immediately.
Yeah, it's true. And I think if you're following the influencers that really match your interests and what you care about, then them wearing these clothes, it's really a direct interest to you, and these clothes might be super personalized shopping experience.
Yeah. Let me briefly get back to the comments from the audience. So we're getting quite a few. So Fatima is asking on Facebook, I noticed that Instagram is being more into real interactions. However, is it really shutting down the fake accounts? So are they cranking down on the fake accounts, and how difficult of a task is it? Can Instagram do it?
I think what's important is really, like you said, this real engagement, real interactions, following that data and understanding and reading data in a way to see and spot it. For brands themselves can now spot what's fake accounts and what's not. So you can rely on Instagram themselves to do the work, or you also can be a part of it in controlling and understanding what's the real engagement, who are the real followers on your own page, by understanding weird, suspicious data or trends and things like that in your growth and monitoring comments and things like that.
Yeah, I think actually you're being too modest, because that's exactly what our platform does. Essentially, with our platform, it's super easy to spot whenever engagement is sort of a bit...
Yeah, these suspicious indicators, right?
Looks a bit, sort of shady. So, I think Instagram is they definitely want to get rid of those fake accounts, and I think they are doing it, and pretty well. We can see it in numbers as well, especially if you download the report and you go back to follower growth chart on Instagram. So you can see that there was a bit of a drop in follower growth when Instagram was actually actively getting rid of these accounts, and they announced it. So there's definitely validation there that at least they are doing it.
And I think if everybody's involved in this sort of tracking, then you'll be able to understand what it is for your own page as well. What's suspicious, what's normal.
Let's see what's going on LinkedIn. So we have one comment. Guys, on LinkedIn, you can be way more active. We have time to answer your comments.
Yeah, we're here for you.
Shoot us the difficult ones. We're going to answer them live. So Jordan's asking, thanks for joining. Stories seem to be getting a lot more attention from audience, but from marketing side, measuring the success can be challenging. Any insights or tips you can offer? We're about to get to stories in like a second.
It's going to be crazy.
We have data.
Thank you so much for the question.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and we have data that we haven't shared anywhere before, so it's coming up in a few minutes. We have someone else joining. Katka, thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining.
All right, next data point, what we were going to discuss.
Yeah, we wanted to talk a bit about content performance across all the different formats as well, right?
Right, just briefly going from e-commerce, we have a bit of data in the report that shows that engagement is actually sort of level at this point on Facebook and Instagram. So there's also, I know, a lot of discussion, is engagement dropping or not?
And a lot of panic sometimes, and I think even influencers are talking about they're losing some of their engagement. But we have the data here to prove from brand side as well. The engagement is stable.
So that's page 10 if you want to check that data. But the next data we want to discuss is page 12 of the report, and it's, like you said, discussing content performance, organic content performance.
So we can see here that live video on is really still where you're getting a lot of the great content performance. The people are there, people are watching. Like us, they're watching us, people like us. But what I also think is interesting is making sure that the formats are right for you and your brand. Is live video, don't just jump on these trends, but really digest them for your brand and for the way you work and your teams are set up.
Yeah, I would say that, okay, so if you looked at format alone and you said, let's do the same content, live versus image and versus link.
And let's never post a status ever again.
I think probably even if the live video was really poor, it is going to get some more engagement. Probably the algorithm is just favoring that content format a bit, but it's going to catch pretty quickly that this isn't an engaging live, and you're not going to shoot up that much. But if it link post is really good, if just the content format or your content is such that it would work best as a link to an article, then it should be.
Yeah, it should never be this like a battle between the format and the content.
Yeah.
You should really find a way to let your content and your message shine. And if it's happens to be on live video, awesome. You should really go for that, and then you'll really get that the full experience and the full engagement that you want there.
But you know what? We actually are getting pretty awesome engagement on Facebook right now. So, you know, it works.
Because our content quality is so great. Come on.
We have more questions coming in. So Mona made a comment. Thanks for joining, a pretty good one. They will steal some of Facebook audience. That's, I think, about Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that it's naturally happening, and we can see it with.
Yeah, and if people are really brands investing their time in doing quality content for Instagram, and maybe they're ditching Facebook for a little bit, then the audiences will follow where the great content is for their brands.
Right. And you can see it in spend, right, as well. It's shifting sort of from one place to the
We have these some interesting spend, some data points here in this report as well.
Jan has another question. Another challenge for Jan is finding big data on stock versus authentic content. Monica, what do you think?
Big data on so understanding. I think your audiences are pretty smart, and if they follow you a lot, they'll understand what is authentic for you, what is authentic for them, and I think they'll spot it after a while. And following the data and seeing if it correlates with the types of audiences who are currently engaging with your content. It's authentic is the way to go in the long. It's a good long game to play.
But it's not easy to do it.
It's absolutely
scaling
not easy.
Authentic content, pretty tricky. Of course, you can go the path of user-generated content, which kind of alleviates some of the resources from your team. And we know that it's not just you. Actually, we looked into this some months ago, and we noticed that 90% of brands copy-paste.
90%, so it's definitely not just you. But in terms of the stock is a little bit different than from repurposing. You can smartly repurpose your authentic and original content too as a way to scale.
Yeah, I think if our teams can find the data about the 90% content being copy-pasted, we'll share it in the comments, and you can see the exact breakdown actually between platforms. All right, let's just quickly check LinkedIn. We have people joining from New York. That's super cool. Thanks for joining, Marie. And she misses Social Bakers Engage seminars. Yeah, we're definitely doing more events, so just sit tight and check our events page. We'll share it in the comments as well. And Marie is asking, is Monica from Instagram, Facebook, or Social Bakers?
I am from Social Bakers. I work in the product marketing department, but I'm a huge fan of Instagram, so maybe it sounds like I am pitching a little bit for them.
I'm glad that you're from Social Bakers, and I'm glad that we have you here because you bring so much knowledge about Instagram and especially influencers. And there's a really cool podcast that we just did with you.
Oh my gosh, you brought up my podcast. I didn't have to do that myself.
So we'll share that as well in the comments. All right, we gotta move forward.
Cool, what else do we have here?
So wait, what's the next thing that we were gonna discuss?
We wanted to definitely talk about most engaging Facebook posts.
So who did it best in the last quarter? Michael Kors.
Yeah, we have a post here from Michael Kors, and it's
Facebook,
on Facebook. Yeah, so we have the most engaging Facebook posts here, and the first one is it's a product. It doesn't feature people, faces, or any sort of dynamic action going on. But I think what made it so powerful is that it's a departure from, I think, Michael Kors' content, but they're moving in it looks like a new product direction. And I was digging into a lot of these comments and understanding the sentiment. Are people liking this new bag? Is it too off-brand?
Right.
Are they being too modern?
Yeah, so you actually looked in our platform, and I have this post open. If our team can show my screen, we actually can see how the sentiment breaks down on that post. Yeah. And if you guys can see the screen, it's pretty interesting that all posts are pretty red.
Yeah, this new direction. Maybe it came out. It was in September, so it's not any holiday content, which you would think for the red vibes. Yeah. But the sentiment is actually overwhelmingly positive.
Right.
But I think what Michael Kors can get from this is when comments are positive, what are they actually saying? Is it just, oh, I like this one, most amazing purse I've ever owned. Happy customer, but also what product feedback are they getting? I was reading comments that were saying this I like the red, but not the studs. I like the studs, but not the red. And they can really use it not just to engage and grow their brand, but get immediate product feedback. It's like your mini focus group, but that's like at a major scale of 4,000 comments.
Yeah, overall it's like really good sentiment, but
It
so
is.
many comments for one post. I'm impressed with Michael Kors's effort here.
Well, and that they became post number 1. So
Yeah, what do you guys think about this top 3 posts? Do they make sense to you? Just a bit of maybe description of what the others are. So
Right.
there's a Sprite page from, I don't remember which region it was from, but it wasn't Western part of the world. Just introduced a new flavor, and the third post was a post from Samsung in India introducing a new product. And this post, honestly, it did make me cry in the office. It's so emotional,
Yeah.
and the product actually itself is pretty touching.
And you hear so much about, mobile phones, telco, any sort of these brands having mostly crisis management on social media. But in the fact that they are moving into emotional content, authentic content, I think, and building communities there is a nice addition to social rather than all the complaints they might be getting otherwise.
So recommend, check it out. We won't do it in this live video,
Right.
but it's well worth it.
On LinkedIn, Jarell asks if the Facebook post for Michael Kors was promoted, and you can see, you saw on our platform that it was
is.
promoted. What's interesting as well is this is the post with the English text, but this post was actually posted quite across a lot of, and regionally as
interesting.
well. They had different languages. They had, I think, a Portuguese one, a Spanish one as well. So even they can dig into those comments and those contents as well and understand the regional performance of this post and regional product feedback.
That's super cool. Yeah. Are there more comments? There's so many comments. That's so cool, guys. We got a comment from Sabrina. Thanks for joining. So her question, it's a longer one. Okay. With so many platforms today and the need to measure analytics of views, what management tool would you recommend that streamlines all channels on both mobile and desktop simultaneously with great ease? I have used Hootsuite primarily, but I'm aware of others like HubSpot. This one's definitely for you.
Yeah, well, I think what's most important, as you mentioned, is this multi-platform look. So you don't want to bounce natively from platform to platform to platform. So it's great that you're looking and talking about these social media management tools. Social Bakers is one of them. We do give you multi-platform views, competitive benchmarking, so you can really understand not just your own performance in a vacuum or too focused, but you can really look outward as well and see how you're fitting in the wider landscape and learning from the wider landscape. It's not just about I'm better, you're better. It's about what inspires me across social media, how different brands and creators and social media managers get inspired. And being able to do that on mobile, you can do that in Social Bakers as well, is getting dashboard reports. So you can really always have the reports whether you're on the go or in the office as well.
And we'll definitely leave a link for you to sign up and try our platform for free for 14 days, and you can check it out and see how it suits your needs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheryl, thanks for joining. Good question. Can engagement be skewed by audience segment targeting?
I think it can be skewed, but what does it mean by skewed? If you're getting great engagement with your audiences as well, then that's maybe that's building your objectives as well.
For sure, yeah.
It's a good thing that you're targeting the right people with the right content and growing the engagement with that niche audiences. You do want to eventually be able to branch out with different content, but I think that's that hyper targeting, that hyper personalization of content quality is huge.
It's really important, and of course you'll see different engagement from one audience versus the other, one region versus the other, and it may depend on what content you show them. It should be different and tailored to each region. So no doubt it will, show different data.
Great question. Thank you.
Thanks for asking. Let's see what's going on Facebook, so we're not forgetting the folk there. All right.
I like this comment here. Authentic content is king.
So thanks, Jan, for the comment. Authentic content is king, but finding high quality data on content is hard. Or is it? I think we have so much data on content, so really check our channels, and I'm so glad that you're watching this video. We do a lot of reports about it, but also our platform, and you can get so much information about content.
Content quality is really one of our main focuses here, because we we believe that marketers should be empowered to create great content because we think that's what audiences really deserve to get. That's
Yes.
the whole experience of social media.
Exactly, and you really, you're so right. It is the data that guides the content. It really does.
So we
All
were
right.
on looking at engaging Facebook posts, but let's also move to Instagram posts
Yeah.
because
Yes.
there's a clear winner here.
Hi, Sophie. She's waving. That's cool. Thanks for joining. All right,
Thanks for
Instagram.
joining.
So,
We got Netflix.
and I think you know Netflix shows way better than I do. So I'll let you do this.
Thank you so much. So yeah, we are looking at these two top performing Netflix posts here, and the first one is it sort of became a cultural phenomenon with the young adults on Netflix. This is the teen romance type of new type of content coming to Netflix. This is what is to all the boys I've loved before, and you have people are really into these cast members, and the actor Noah as well is really making it big. So he even has his own Instagram engagement, and this is where Netflix is really not as capitalizing off of his notoriety, I think, as well. And the third post as well, this 13 Reasons Why show also caught on huge with the young adult community, and so it's no surprise that Netflix is. People are getting excited. People are talking about it. We were comparing it to, it's like Netflix is the new Beatles fans screaming at a concert. You're just screaming online and you're interacting and sharing with your friends. I want to dig into that data. I bet there's a lot of people tagging their friends. It's a bunch of tagging and so us or me or Hard Eyes or something like that. So ready. Or let's watch this together, especially for Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, they both were great posts. It's also a video post, and videos that usually aren't that. They never come to mind to me when I think of best Instagram content, but it's really
if
nice
it's a trailer also, or
Yeah.
like a teaser, then people are getting hyped.
Yeah, but Netflix is killing it. They're always killing it on Instagram.
What can we do?
So good.
But also what's killing it is this post from Maybelline in Brazil. And what's interesting is this is an influencer partnership. So it's not on her page, but it's on the branded page as well. So Mari Maria, she is a huge Brazilian, super popular influencer. And she works with Maybelline. We were looking at her content, I think 4 posts in this month were with her. And what I think is interesting, I actually follow her, and she gets so much engagement on her posts. And what's interesting about that, I think, is she has tons of freckles, and she does a lot of also glam makeup. So a lot of comments are contentious, don't cover your freckles. She should be able to cover her freckles. So it's this back and forth within the community that I think is interesting. And I'm wondering if Maybelline, if the commentary is quite similar under these posts as well.
That's really
A little
interesting.
insider info about the engagement going on there.
Again, there's a full podcast we did where Monica talked a lot about influencer audiences, and it's super valuable to listen if you want to know more about this topic.
Cool.
Let's just check quickly what comments are coming in. I think there was maybe one we missed. Mona, yeah, really good question. Is there a clue for more usage of Instagram in journalism? Good question. So do we see any data? Actually, we're going to have to get back to you about this because we do have data, I think, on exactly this topic. We also recently shared it on our channels, and I think our teams will respond to this comment with the right data.
Yeah, let's talk about, let's show you the data rather than just talk about what we remember and what we don't hear. It's a very cool question.
We share a lot of data, so I don't remember every single thing, but really good question, and we do have this data. And on LinkedIn, let's just quickly check.
Yeah.
All right. You guys got quiet on LinkedIn, but we're still live. Shoot us questions, but we're going to dive back into the report.
And we're moving on to stories, which was a question from Jordan earlier. So Jordan, I hope you're still watching because we have got some interesting data points for you.
So yeah, we never kind of looked into stories metrics before, but I think
they were so hard to get, before working with platforms that can store that sort of Instagram stories data over the long term for historical look.
Exactly. So we kind of have plenty of this data as social bakers. So we finally started looking at these benchmarks of what are the metrics across different verticals when it comes to things like exit rate. So the average exit rate is 5.9%.
Yeah, exit rate. Is this something you guys are currently checking out, looking at? Or because I think this is moving into sort of niche understanding of the data, but so important.
Yeah, let me just share the next slide so that you guys can see what the exit rate is like in your industry while we talk about this. But we were discussing this, like how critical is exit rate to track? And I think the conclusion was that it is kind of critical.
Yeah, I think so. It's well, we don't see there's quite a bit. It's not too much of a difference. What did we see on across the industries? Beverages, sporting goods. It's all sort of. It's ish the same.
Well,
but
it's like there's a 2% difference between sporting goods and beverages. And if you think about, like, if there was a 2% difference in click-through on my content, that is significant for me.
Yeah, I think brands are still working on getting Instagram story strategy just right in terms of, am I posting enough? And the new thing, am I posting too much, where the exit rate comes in. It could be inundated in terms of amount, or maybe your content quality is not as engaging. So it helps you understand not only how much you should be posting, but what kind of content quality. So it really gives you a full dimensional look on your Instagram story strategy.
And do you guys actually know what's your exit rate? Like, how does it compare to the benchmarks that we're showing you? We'd be really curious to hear. And,
5.9% was the median.
Yeah, 5.9 median. But did we answer Jordan's question? Let me just quickly go back to it. So, but from measurement, there's success, any insights and tips. So, when it comes to measuring it, where can you do it? Well, with Socialbakers, pretty easy, right? Yeah,
you're able to understand your Instagram story strategy also across the long term. So if you are improving, and I think it's even though Instagram stories they're this ephemeral content, you should be learning from the past and growing from it as well, and having that long-term look and short-term look, and really building on your successes.
Yeah.
Like we always say, do more of what's working, because your audiences are really giving you instant feedback, and exit rate, or even tap backs, tap forwards, swipe ups. All of these are really giving you great feedback on your content quality.
Yeah, and we at Socialbakers get tons of referral traffic from Instagram stories alone, and it's, before we had this feature, it was just Instagram wasn't a huge source for referral traffic, and then right now it became
because you don't want to spend too much of your time there if you don't have the data backing up that your efforts are really making an impact.
All right, from stories to more stories.
More stories.
But this is about...
We're here for you, Jordan.
This is about the spend on stories.
Yeah.
Which is what kind of matters a lot.
Yeah, I think what's cool here is Instagram stories ads. They're relatively new, but you can see that the spend is growing. People are investing in it because you said you're getting some referral traffic as well. I find, from a personal perspective, Instagram stories ads a little less invasive. So maybe that's why they're a bit more popular, because you know they'll be over soon. And
yeah, you're right. I think there's something like that.
That's just my own personal opinion. You should follow the data here.
You should definitely follow the data, and you should definitely recognize that the first chart is Instagram stories, and the second one is Facebook stories, even though they both say Instagram stories.
Ah, interesting.
That is. We'll have to correct this.
Oh man, finding that live.
Yeah, finding that live.
Cool.
But I think it's pretty interesting that now there's 10% of spend going to Instagram stories actually, and I think it's going to grow on Facebook as well still.
And it's worth it if you're tracking it, and if your content quality and your ad quality on Instagram stories are worth it, then you can really see the data is supporting your strategy in the direction you're going.
What else is there in terms of?
So we're talking about spend. We can move on to more about advertising.
There's a section of this report that goes into the paid sort of metrics for Facebook and Instagram. It talks about organic stuff, and then it talks about influencer marketing. So it covers.
Yeah, it's got all sort of facets, whatever sort of strategy you're putting together.
Right. Let me just quickly check comments. So yeah, Mona again. Making a comment on Facebook, some interdisciplinary studies with user behavior in order to know and explain. Right. I think we can look into this, and we'll try to produce content that looks into media pages and publishers and journalists and see how they compare. We can definitely get that data for you, and we will. All right, back to the report. So, share of ad impressions.
Mobile versus desktop. Is it a really versus? If we're looking at the data, it's not really a competition anymore.
I mean, we're both on desktop right now during this live. But
it's because
look,
we're ahead of the trends. We have the trends here.
But really, everything is on mobile. So if your mobile experience is not optimized for ads, for great content, for your landing pages are not optimized for mobile, you're going to run into troubles, obviously. And if we go to the next slide, which compares the costs of desktop and mobile.
Mobile remains cheaper. Okay, so that hasn't been a change from Q3.
Yeah, and that is a curious one because desktop, I think it allows you to very easily drive action in the sense that people are already kind of expecting to open different tabs maybe, and so when you go to a new page, you're not like thrown out of the platform so easily. What do you think?
I don't have an answer here.
But
I think it must have to do also with some content quality as well somehow, because anytime that you're looking at CPC, you're looking at the types of audiences engaging with your content on desktop might be different on mobile as well.
Yeah, and 17% decrease is of course a lot, but it just moves. I think that it just means that more advertisers are moving to mobile as opposed to really there's something changing in the algorithm. But it's your chance. Like if you're kind of for us, desktop is quite important for a B2B brand, and if you're a B2B brand, I imagine this is for you also important. This report features a lot of data on these ad placements and which ad placements cost the most, which ones you should choose. They compare Instagram and Facebook. So check it out. There's a lot more data.
This is where your Coco comes in, really digging in.
Yes. All right. What were we going to discuss?
We wanted to talk about the interplay between content quality and budget optimization, because it's so interesting to see that if we check out this chart here, this is our grading system that we use on Social Bakers to understand content quality. And what we're looking at is that advertisers are investing in their best content most, and then their worst content most.
Yeah. Interesting. I think, well, to explain, what do these scores mean? So this is actually our AI predicting how good that content is.
And if you've watched our live videos rate that post, it's actually just 3 of us at a computer writing these top quality contents. No,
so now we know that actually there could be couple of things why people are promoting better quality content. Maybe people just got better at actually creating really good content.
Yes.
There's more of it. And so by default...
They can promote more if they have more high quality content. And it really goes to show, we've been talking for years now about content quality. Find a way to improve your content quality, make it resonating with your audiences. And the data here is showing now that people are catching on, and they really do care. And even if it's tough to scale, they're finding ways to repurpose smartly, work with influencers, and now they're investing their money in this high quality content.
Yeah. For those listening to the podcast, to just briefly tell you what the numbers are. So A+ content is now at 46.5%. D quality content is at 21%. But the difference between those two is actually huge in terms of results. So if you're promoting D quality content, your CPC is actually 50% higher in comparison, and the CPM is 20% higher. So there's a real cost attached to promoting poor quality content.
There definitely is.
We want to spend a bit of time in influencer marketing, but maybe let me just quickly check if we have questions, and we do. Thanks, guys. You're asking a lot of questions. It's really nice to talk to you live. Let's answer this one from, I'm going to butcher this name so bad. Guilherme?
Let us know.
Tried. So, hey, guys.
Hi there.
Question from Brazil. I just got here. Well, I'm glad you got to join anyway. So, I don't know if you guys already talked about, or is it going to, but what about IGTV? How to track results with an API if this is so limited? Is there any study available, anything to measure at all? Yeah, so we have a bit of content about this available on IGTV. We'll link to it, but in terms of measurement, really good point. We should discuss this far more. One thing about IGTV is that you can see it in some of your IGTV posts if you post it the correct way. I don't know if it changed by now. You can see the engagement metrics along all your other Instagram metrics. And actually we noticed that when we did it that way, we got huge engagement from IGTV. And you can post longer than 1 minute videos that way.
Yeah, and I think that the big change in they're trying to make IGTV even more user-friendly, so then being able to switch it from just vertical even to horizontal made a big difference in terms of how people were spending more time there and watching it longer. So I remember that was a trend that we had been exploring on, I think, our Instagram a bit, is when that first came out, letting marketers know that this was a new option to try.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and I think we need to go back and look at IGTV data separately and give you guys content about it so you can know exactly what the metrics are and how to track them. Let's see if we have anything on LinkedIn. Faju comments that...
Hey there.
Comment on Netflix. So Netflix has spiced up things on Twitterland last week with their best tweet of the year. That's really cool to know.
That is cool. They're not just killing it on Instagram. They're really doing this multi-platform strategy.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you can give us a link to the post, it'd be awesome to see.
Yeah.
All right, influencers. Hashtag ad mentions increased by 60%. That's page 30 of the report. And what does that mean? 60% increase in hashtag ad mentions in the last quarter.
This is showing that the idea of transparency in terms of brand collaboration has just shot up. And who knows really what that can be? Is it from the influencer side who want to treat their audiences fairly? Is it from a brand side in terms of pushing that regulation more? Or is it even from external, any sort of government bodies or any sort of reports that are coming out that are scaring and making the audiences a little bit suspicious? I think it's a perfect storm of ad mentions have increased 60%, and I think it's an incredible thing.
Yeah, it is an incredible thing, and I hope that we're going to see this number just keep going up and up. I'm also thinking that perhaps influencers also seen that actually using hashtag ad doesn't decrease engagement that much, and so I think we're going to see this transparency more and more.
I think influencers are really catching on that. Yeah, transparency and showing and believing in a brand is cool, and showing that you're really working with them and working closely with them, and not just a fan, but part of the brand now really brings audiences even closer to the brands they love.
Yeah, like the example that you talked about earlier, the second most popular Instagram post, that kind of collaboration where you work with someone for months,
Yeah, it's not just a one-off sponsorship. If you can see these Instagrammers or these influencers over and over again with the same brands that you love, it's great for the influencer, it's great for the brand.
Yeah, what was the name of the brand? I feel bad.
It was with Maybelline in Brazil, and they're working with one of the top influencers there.
And another stat about influencers that you should know, and it's about brand mentions. There's something really curious happening there.
Yeah, it is. So these are the top brands mentioned by the most influencers. Okay, so we have Walmart at the top.
Strange, right? It seems so counterintuitive when you think it would be fashion, beauty,
luxury brands.
Actually, in the beginning of the year, it was Danielle Wellington that was really killing it. And
so they're still on the list, but Walmart has climbed up, and just so you said, past 2 quarters.
Yeah, exactly. And before it was fashion brands, actually, if I'm not mistaken, in the Q1 report that we did. So it's really something's changing.
Yeah, this is kind of cool, especially Walmart. They could have so many different types of influencers working for them because they've got so many different departments. They've got so many different shoppers. They have, imagine the different types of audiences they could reach here. It's not just, they have a beauty section, they sell clothes, they sell food, they sell baby care. So you could work with moms, you can work with any sort of food influencers. Just so they really have, looks like influencers, they're finding the right niches and really inserting themselves into the conversations.
Yeah, and it was kind of maybe surprising for me at first when I was looking for the most sort of popular influencer posts around Christmas, and it was really a lot of it from Walmart, overwhelmingly. And if you look at the numbers, and especially for those listening to this on the podcast, which is really important that we share the numbers. So we have 856 influencers that we're mentioning Walmart. The next top brand, Ideal of Sweden, is 470, and Daniel Wellington is now at 348.
What I think is also interesting about the Walmart one is that, like you said, they are creating more content. They are getting part of social. They had a really great Christmas posts. But I remember one that was shared all over on my Facebook even, was this one about the pickup groceries. It was all the different like cartoon cars. Like so you had the Scooby-Doo van, you had the Ghostbusters van, and I don't remember, it was all these really cool cartoon characters that were doing their click and collect groceries, and the Walmart employees were bringing out their groceries to all these famous vans across media. And I thought that was a really cute interplay, and people were talking about that a lot. So I want to try and find that ad, and I can drop it and have you guys watch it as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that post, this campaign later. This sounds really, really awesome, actually. We want to just quickly check if maybe we have comments from you. So this is your chance to ask something super difficult and last minute.
For Mantis.
we want to leave the rest of the report for you guys to see and explore yourselves. Give it some time. There's a lot of data.
Yeah, and from your own perspective in your industry, we can't give you the niche insights that you know. So you'll get something from the data that we'd love to hear about as well.
Yeah, and actually Mona has another question.
Yeah, Mona.
And we have data about this, and our teams are going to share it in the comments. So is there a gender balance in terms of most powerful influencers? Yeah, there's an interesting breakdown in terms of the amount of influencers and share of engagement.
You can't recall it right now? Because I also want to know.
When we're talking about data, we have to be specific.
That's fair.
But we definitely shared it a couple of months ago on our channels. I believe in the summer, actually. We should refresh that data for the next report, and you'll be able to see the most recent metrics.
That'll be very cool. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, we dug in. We covered, so we did in terms of engagement, in terms of ads, and in terms of influencers, these three really big areas and big questions. And I think what's tying them all together, of course, is this idea of like personalized content quality. That's the main question now in terms of how to scale it. We had that question from Jan, how to scale and be producing authentic content, and hopefully understanding the data and really adopting the formats and that work for you, and really digging into your own data should answer a lot of these questions for you.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.
And we'll be here next year to discuss the next trends report.
Next year? Oh my goodness.
2020. Yeah, what kind of a year is that going to be for marketing? This was pretty fast.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Thanks
Thank you
for
so
joining.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.